Well, hello, good evening on this wonderful Saturday night here in Rando Land. Welcome to a group match for Group E of Link to the Past main tournament group stages. We are wrapping up the first week of groups. We have two very excellent runners, Matt7898 versus JamesFnX. Matt and James have both already raced a couple times. Matt is sitting at a very pretty 2-0 record, looking to extend his winning streak to 3-0. James is still very much alive, taking 1-1. In fact, this is actually game 2 between Matt and James, taking the initial loss. So looks like James is going to maybe hope to get a little bit of revenge. Should be a very excellent time. I'm Claire Mouse, joined with me, actually just wrapping up his very own tournament race as well, Shady. Shady, are you ready to go?
I am very much ready. This should be a really fun race. I've been looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and of course, yeah. I was gonna say, so like, if you actually happen to see kind of up at the top, Group E, right above that, Shady, what mode do we have here for us today?
Well, the runners are going to be delighted that it's not yet another key sanity for these guys.
Oh yeah,
because
that's true.
let me just bring you guys up to date. So poor JamesFnX has had 2 key sanities in a row. I don't know whether he likes the mode or not, but he's probably sick of it by now. He had one in his first race against Kaede, and he had one in his, I guess that would have been his second race. He also had one against Matt. So thankfully, the algorithm has had pity on him and has drawn a different mode for both of these guys. So we're going to have some boss Randomizer here.
Oh yeah. Actually, yeah. In fact, at game 1 between Matt and James, I think probably both of them would kind of prefer that they even played that seed to begin with. It was one of those seeds where it was really, both runners are kind of pushing the 2-hour mark, and so hopefully not gonna hopefully have the same type of time challenges today. Big energy, Shady, hopefully from us, is that these guys are going to find some early movements. Always good to see an early flute, but I'm really especially after some of the earlier seeds today, that these guys are going to get some boots with them.
Yo, imagine getting some boots. I'm not familiar with that feeling.
Shady, despite the fact that your race, I think, was like on like the hour, I don't know, 15 mark or something like that, I'm sorry you were still boostless for those 7
I know,
minutes.
but at least it was a quick one, and I made this race in time.
Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, so James and Matt, started out both, at different starting points. James ended up kind of exploring his house. Matt did like his looks like a pretty standard sanctuary start. Unfortunately, not really, much to their name. They do have 3 bombs apiece. Certainly going to be very convenient and useful in Kakariko. But other than that, we're really looking for stuff here.
Yeah, I'm kind of fond of the Uncle Start myself, just to give an extra chance to get some more equipment going into Kakariko, to make sure you're not in there with no money or bombs.
Yeah, in fact, actually, I don't know if this is like part of your observation as well. It seems like Uncle Start, ever since even like the qualifier started, seems to be just like more and more popular. Did you get that sense, or am I just kind of just...
I don't know. I feel like it used to be a bit of a meta, like a good few years ago, and then it just kind of fizzled out, and people were like, they don't want to double dip the area, they want to do it along with escape when they have a weapon and maybe a movement item. So I feel like it's not too common. So one thing you can do instead is you can see JamesFnX is killing a few enemies to try and set up some tree pulls. Now I'm not sure whether he's going for both a tier 1 and a tier 2 tree pull. Just to give yourself an extra chance to get some money and bombs. But it's interesting that he's combined that with also doing the Uncle Start. I feel like once you have the 3 bombs, you can probably just rush into Kakariko, because at least then you can do the 3 bomb checks in Kakariko and hope to get some goodies.
Yeah, well, right, and to your point, 3 bombs is pretty much exactly what we need. Use for the minimum of clearing out, being able to access all of the bomb lock places, and early resources, no one's ever going to complain about. But Matt's just kind of, I think, just demonstrating what you were kind of talking about. I got 3 bombs. Let's go rush Kakariko, and sitting in blindside, I think we saw both, according to our awesome tracker Vulcan, Mark, Kate, and Samaria, a bottle, and also a ton of money. As well, so we're definitely not going to be sad in terms of being able to get some more resources here.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting with this particular mode, I know we called it Boss Randomizer, but just to clarify for anyone who's seeing this for the first time, the maps and compasses are shuffled in the world in this mode. So you don't have the crystal information yet, and they have to find the maps, or even just beat the dungeon to find out what they are. And the compasses are also shuffled, and we can't want to pick those up in this mode, because when you go into a dungeon and use the dungeon's internal map, you can
Wait,
see what the boss is.
there's a map check that we can do with dungeons? Really?
I know, right? It's on this button that you may not be familiar with on the controller, right? And it's blue, and maybe depending on the controller shade you have, maybe it's a bit camouflaged, but actually it does exist, and it works in this game. It does something.
I always thought the X button was just good to fast forward through the credits. That's it. I didn't
Oh,
even know
right,
how
yeah,
many
that's
of
true.
these.
Well, also I called it blue, but that's actually not what North Americans have. You guys
Oh,
have
I
purple
think we have
buttons,
like
don't you?
purple, right? Yeah, yeah.
I'm looking at my Super Famicom controller right here.
No, you're just showing your roots here, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, you're right. You did mention actually, right? So typically speaking, especially in pretty much every other mode, that's not this, or basically not Randomizer. People just kind of turn up their noses. Don't really bother to pick up the compasses, just kind of laying out on the ground there. But for this specific mode, because it is boss shuffle, there's a very nice additional feature that if you do end up doing a map check inside the dungeon, you will actually see what boss is at the very end. And that is a sword on race game. Matt is turning straight around. That is going to be our first and very quick permanent weapon of the game.
Yeah, and that instantly means several dungeon bosses that you might encounter are killable. Like, for example, if you have access to Hera and there's a Vitreous at the top, you can kill Vitreous, in theory. In theory.
Cheating, wow. You know what? We have confidence that both Matt and James are excellent execution runners. I think they are both up to the challenge of taking on Vitreous with a fighter sword and maybe a bomb or two.
Yeah. To be honest, like if you do end up needing to fight a Vitreous with low health, a little trip to the upgrade shop in the Lake Island and getting some extra bombs is probably a good idea. Like, it's always an option.
Yeah,
we haven't seen it too often this tournament, but
yeah,
it's there.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's actually a really good point. So there are some of these things where you actually mentioned the early resources. I think that you kind of saw James maybe trying to fish out some from the tree pulls, are actually going to be pretty useful. And especially when you're talking about maybe we won't necessarily have the more or less standard, let's say like NMG-esque or swords to our disposal. Extra arrows, extra bombs really are going to be able to help you out, and that upgrade fairy is I would say pretty underrated when it comes to like boss shuffle.
Yeah, and also like if you do have a bow and you just have arrows are your best weapons, like that's the standard approach. But sometimes you just need more bombs.
Yeah, for not only of course bombs are good for bosses. I heard they're also able to be able to propel yourself over a certain gap at the top of Ganon's tower if there happens to be a Moldorm there.
Yeah, unfortunately, this mode is one of the worst for that particular strategy. I'm very sad.
Oh, that is unfortunate. It's just because of like how Randomizer kind of like messes with the bosses, even if it's like even if it's a Moldorm there.
Well, I think it's just because it's very unlikely to be a Moldorm there.
Oh, I see.
And also, you can't rely on it, so climbing with the hookshot is extra risky.
Yeah, that's also. See, these are very good, things that that maybe these types of thoughts don't necessarily occur to people when they just say, "Oh, okay, the bosses are shuffled. Okay, maybe I'll just end up encountering, a Vitreous when I, don't necessarily want to."
Yeah, another thing with this mode is that the overworld carries a bit more value because you don't want to be going to dungeons and run the risk of not being able to complete them, either because you don't have the right equipment or just because they're more difficult. So you might see more overworld checks, like going to Agina, going to Ice Rod Cave, maybe Pyramid Catfish, before the typical dungeon dives you would expect in a normal mode. Just to make sure you have a little bit better equipment, because dying is a lot more likely in this mode because the bosses could be quite difficult.
Yeah, not only difficult, and sometimes just when the bosses are not shuffled, right? You kind of know what you're getting yourself into, especially towards the end, as you mentioned. All the more reason that being able to find some compasses would help at the beginning of the dungeon, but also, yeah, maybe you don't necessarily want to make even the additional time investment to get over there, Matt. Speaking of, decided to take some exploration, go all the way to Ice Rod Cave without the boots, without the flute. He is vastly rewarded, though, with that glove.
Yeah, and I think the very first thing he's going to do is straight to the back of Escape, which I'm personally a big fan of. it's basically never any quicker than to do it right away. So, and it's 3 quick checks, and maybe it gives him a good movement item. I'm a big fan of just going straight to the back of escape when you find a glove.
That I am big hoping here for some movement items. Yeah, and I was actually wondering also just with James, you also see him picking up a bit more money. That going over the ice archive, maybe he wanted to take Flipper over to do some water checks. We've got the back of escape having compasses galore. Always going to be pretty nice to see.
Yeah, he did get the key in the back of escape, and he chose not to do the Dark Cross, which is interesting. Like with the sword, it's not too bad. I wouldn't suggest it in a regular randomizer when the enemies are shuffled.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I'm a little surprised he's not doing it, but I guess he maybe wants to consider doing it from the front.
So if you have the key, is it faster to do Dark Cross like from the back versus doing the front of escape? Presumably taking a death warp once you get to the end of Zelda Cell and the death warping.
Okay. With the proviso that I have not timed this,
Sure.
I really do expect it's faster if you're already in the back of escape to just walk back a few rooms and get it. And death warps are slow. The dying animation is slow, and wasting time with the death warps is slow. So, but even with the mirror, I suspect you should just do it from the back.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I have not timed this, so nobody rely on me. Rely on the people who actually spend time timing things.
We will chalk that up, to the drawing board. We'll take it back to like the top men who do this all this research for us.
There's a couple of people in the community who are quite good at just timing stuff, and they're the guys to listen to. Don't listen to me.
Certainly, though, being yourself also a top 128 group contender, certainly means that your words do hold quite a bit of weight.
Yeah, well, they shouldn't, but I'm glad they do. But they shouldn't.
I will say though, speaking of, Matt making his way through the front of escape, JamesFnX though doing a little bit of divergence. Looks like though, even though he did find the glove in Ice Rock Cave, looks like he's probably going to continue on, his originally intended path. Just gonna fake Flipper out here. Checking Hobo, didn't really have anything today, but is certainly a inconvenient check now that he's gotten out of the way. And presume he's gonna go over to. Can we do Waterfall? We don't have Pearl, right?
No, and we have a Samaria, but I think we would need something else to be able to do an Ancilla delete to get into the waterfall.
Okay.
So I think James is going to end up leaving the waterfall. And this is still a decent play. He has the money for Zora, but I don't think it's as good as it could be if he delayed it a little bit longer. Because he's also not going to be able to get a Zora Ledge item. So really this is just for Zora. And he's basically committing to another trip back. At least the Zora Ledge item is nothing though. So that's
yeah, right. And so this, of course, with the glove, even though the route that James ended up taking to Zora is, oh no, technically, not logical because we can't, in this case, Flipper or swim over here. We can always get here, the good old-fashioned walking way. So this check is completely logic. But as you just said. If we want to end up getting the out-of-logic waterfall fairy checks, we will have to come back here a second time.
I forgot he does have bombs, so he could have maybe used a Samaria block on some bombs. That might have worked. I'm not an expert on all the different setups, but I think there might be a setup with the Samaria block, place 2 bombs, and then you explode the Samaria block and jump in the water. So maybe that's something he could have done.
Yeah, but in this case, we don't have to necessarily worry about it today. We do have a very interesting item, though, that James ended up just buying off of Zora. For 500 rupees, we've got our first fire source, our one and only light source, which, of course, we're kind of seeing the consequences of not having a lamp on Matt's side. That the screen is quite dark for the most part. You kind of see, some enemies taking a couple hits here and there, but we're definitely not going to see that on James's screen for the duration of the game.
And I'm pretty sure James is going to now take this key and go straight to the no, James.
Looks like no as well. Actually, yeah, this is actually very interesting because he already did Uncle, right?
Yeah. In a normal mode, you might want to not do the Dark Cross to hold out for it being a map. But remember that the maps and compasses are shuffled, so it is a guaranteed item in the Dark Cross.
Yeah, which we actually just see Matt picked up on his side. It is only 20 rupees, so I guess, so James is not going to get punished if he never goes there. I guess maybe the question is, well, if he is going to go there, and maybe why he, in this case, chose not to go there.
Yeah, James now has the difficult choice between going there and minor mental damage, which is a factor. It's a factor in these random.
Yeah, and I am also kind of curious, if there is some amount of kind of like metagaming going on, with racers, especially for like qualifiers, right? When we did the first 3 weeks, right? When you join a race, it was minimum was probably like 60, to like 80 people. James, why do we question any decision? Because James just found myths here in the back of Sahashwala. So this was good.
So Clear Mouse, I think it's time for us to have a little discussion.
I am ready.
I think that time has come.
I am ready with my favorite emote. Shady.
You've got your favorite emote, and I've got my favorite emote, right? Do we want to go into Eastern here?
Are we gonna play sides here? Because it seems like right now JamesFnX is going into Eastern Palace right now. I'm kind of curious to see what Matt decides to do after he picks up these mitts.
Yeah,
I think we should
without a bow,
let the
without
racers.
a compass, we don't know what the boss is. We can't get to the boss.
I believe that Matt and James are looking like they have made their respective decisions, and I wholeheartedly approve of both of decisions here.
Yeah, well, I think memes aside, they don't have a lot left, and they're missing the Moon Pearl. When you're missing that item, you can't really afford to skip things as much.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So as to your point, Shady, we do have well, at least James does have logical mountain access. Because we can actually, climb up there with the glove, and we can actually see our way through. Given, however, that we don't have really anything else, no hook shot, no mirror, no hammer, does provide us an additional one check. We could take a peek at another. We have a Gina, right? I think you mentioned that earlier, for a part of Overworld. But then, yeah, after that, what else do we really have left, to our names?
Yeah, not much. It's going to be interesting to see whether Matt ends up needing to go to Zora or not, because if the Fire Rod appears, Matt might never need that lamp, and he'll be happy. But at the moment, it is progression in the sense that it is the only fire source we have. And it'll also make an Aga Tower, if that is necessary, a lot easier.
Actually, yeah, I was gonna say that is actually a good point. So so sometimes, especially when we, trying to like run out of checks to do or stuff to do, kind of like I would say a default. Oh, look, how convenient that we have the Eastern Palace map right there. We see the capital P lit up immediately on James' side, soon to be on Matt's side. Looks like Eastern Palace Day isn't pendant, so chances are we do not have to necessarily defeat the boss of whatever dungeon whatever boss of this dungeon. But yeah, even for when we run out of stuff and you're like, okay, let's just default. We're gonna do Agra for Dark World access. We can't even get in right now, right? We do have the lamp on James' side, which we know we got from Sora, but we only have one sword. We need like a cape, right, or another sword or something.
Right? Yeah, and also we've no Moon Pearl, so you don't want to do Aga until it's your last location without a Moon Pearl.
Yeah, because like the only real access you have after Aga is whatever's on the pyramid, and so certainly it can be still on the pyramid, but it is just one location, right?
Okay, so it looks like
it is not an Eastern Palace.
What?
It looks like
interesting. That's a very interesting outcome.
So I do believe though that they still made the right decision because it happens to be in this case there had been the most densely packed, unchecked locations at this point. Relkin, you're fired from your job. Okay.
Shoutouts to Relkin is tracking.
Relkin is a very excellent.
I might have mentioned that earlier, but so James is going to do the front of escape, which Matt's already done, and then I'm guessing afterwards, James is going to do the Dark Cross, which I believe Bolt Runners should have done a little earlier. And if that has our Moon Pearl or our progression, then they'll feel a little annoyed, but it's not a big deal. Generally speaking, last locating your progression in the light world is not as bad as it often seems.
Yeah, and right, and again, right, because it is in the light world, we don't have Dark World access. It is the beginning of the game. You may not feel great anytime, whenever you do last locate. Despite however many times people have done it, in races. But again, right, that is, as you just said, it's fairly early in the game. It's only light world. You could probably make some time up, somewhere in the later game, right? Because there's just a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, the basic rule of rando is whoever last locates second last wins.
Second last, gotcha. Speaking of though, so about some movement items, Shady. So you know, I would take a hook shot. That would also give us, you know, some more further mountain access, right? We can hook all the way over to Paradox. Looks like Akina today is not the answer.
Not Agina.
Yeah. You know, I would certainly take a flute. Flute can, in this case, it won't necessarily open up anything logical quite yet. Sorry. We can get into Meyer's shed or the Meyer area, but no real checks there. But it does give us some good movement, and of course, we really would like to be able to find those boots.
Well, without apparel, we can't get into the Meyer shed, and we don't have a mirror to sequence or break it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, actually,
yeah, the flute doesn't open anything for us. They would still like to have it because it'll
right. Yeah, I mean, we, you know, so as we're you know, watching our runners, you know, basically just hold cardinal directions down. You know, maybe there's a, you know, a little bit of back and forth depending on which cardinal direction. But it would really be nice, you know, for example, for Matt to just flute over to spot 8, right, instead of, you know, kind of walking all the way from Link's house.
So, I think we're about to see something quite important. Matt's going to find nothing in Hobo, and then I'm guessing he's going to go to the Zora area, and it'll be interesting to see if he attempts some sort of ancilla delete to get into the waterfall. And if anything good is there. Now, it's going to be out of sequence, but that has not stopped nice things being there anyway in the past, and it will not in the future, so... Wow, it's not the Dark Cross. The answer must be the mountain, then.
Oh, right, yeah. So when Matt ended up doing, I think, the front of escape, he also did a death warp, and then he found 20 rupees there earlier. So Matt
he
also
did that earlier. My mistake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, it's certainly not a big deal. Yeah, but I think between the two runners, I believe, you know, we are, you know, logically left basically, you know, with just the mountain at this point. So right now, so because we have the lamp, James is going to rescue the old man. Is going to be in logic because this is our mountain access. So old man item, what's inside Spectacle Rock Cave is an item, and then we'll be able to see what is on top. And well, we need something here in order to propel us a little bit more forward.
Matt almost got sniped in the fake filter state there.
that would be a very feels bad moment, because we did see how long it kind of took him in order to get all the way over here. Fake flipper, unfortunately, means that you would have to do all of that over again. Yeah, so what do you think we're gonna, I guess, what do you think our next item of progression is gonna be? Do you think it'll be a sword? Do you think it'll be a cape? Do you think it'll be a hook shot?
I think it's gonna be the moon pearl.
Oh
wow.
You think it's gonna be a shovel?
That. No, forget about the shovel. That doesn't exist. I keep climbing.
Oh my god.
I get your moon pearl from Spectacle Rock Cave.
That's right.
Just forget about that. We don't want it. Nothing's there. Don't worry about
it. Certainly, you know, for what it's worth, James, if people decide to save and quit, you know, we do have a nice save and quit point now with the old man. But yes, very much, James, listen to Shady. Ooh, there is a ice rod here on Spectacle Rock Cave. Okay, gonna be certainly very good knowledge.
Wow.
Alright, okay, so Shady, what do you think we're gonna dig up from James' side and soon to be on Matt's side?
Okay, I still think it's gonna be the moon pearl.
Okay, alright, okay.
Because as a runner, arguably the most annoying thing is digging up the moon pearl, because it gives you the bad Dark World access where you don't have the hammer. Whereas the hook shot would just give you lots of nice items to get, and maybe you'll get, you know, more progression. And so I think it's going to be the moon pearl, because I think that's in a way the most annoying.
Okay. I was also wondering, because I was also wondering if moon pearl would also give us a bit more access, right? That would be our Dark World access, right? Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, Shady!
I forgot an annoying option. Okay, I forgot.
Alright, yep, you're right.
A mistake was made.
Alright, Matt's getting his shovel. So, you know, in this particular case, you know, as we kind of see, you know, Matt basically is off one additional check right now, you know, on over James. That's pretty much the difference at this moment, which Matt has gone all the way over to Akina. In this case, fortunate or not fortunate for James, he has sequenced his light world such that he is going to be able to combine his trip over to Desert with Akina.
Okay, so, Clear Mouse, what boss do you think they're going to be fighting in Desert Palace with just a fighter sword and a cane of Samaria?
Oh, so okay,
That is logically completely 100% available.
man, you're right. All right, so what bosses can we actually beat that we can see? So we certainly can see blind. So Mario blind is certainly going to be a thing. I would really like for a vanilla boss here, provided they find a bow inside Desert Palace.
Well, yeah, I know you would like to see a bow Rambo. We could have the aforementioned Vitreous fight.
Oh yes, that's true.
Which
Vitreous
would
can
be
certainly be
fun.
there. That do we have by chance do we have a compass? I don't know if we do. I'm sure the runners have been keeping track, and if there is, I'm sure a map check inside the dungeon would have been pretty quick at some point.
Whoa, someone in chat saying easy moth. I did not know SG chat could just be nice to the runners like that. I didn't know that was possible.
Well, we're not on speaking main, Shady. We're like, kind of further down a little bit, so maybe we
Oh, I
don't
see.
yeah, it's like negatively correlated basically with kindness.
Okay, all the mean people are watching the other race that's on right
Exactly.
now. Yeah, okay, alright, I get it.
Yeah. Alright, so it looks like Matt also has dug up his book. I'm sure he is feeling just fine as he walks his way down to Agina, or the Desert Palace area for the second time this scene.
Oh, it's the boots!
Oh my gosh! Alright, finally!
Now we can get the item in the torch. I was just about to say, if this isn't the big key, we can't get any more in desert, but actually we can.
Yeah, no, this is awesome, and in fact, this is actually arguably one of the best, Alright, so I think the game, we can forgive the game for stringing us along for so long, right? Shovel from the old man leading to the book, which leads to Desert Palace, but Desert Palace has our boots, and now both runners, I think, will be pretty happy. So we're gonna be able to find boots, for both of these guys, basically right around like the 25, 26 minute mark. Very, very nice.
Okay, and there's still one item left, which either is our progression or it's on Bonk Rocks, I guess.
Oh, right. Yeah, we got Bonk
Still need
Rocks,
progression.
we got Kingstone.
Wait, it's not there. That's just 10 arrows. Oh, sorry, I'm being silly. It's MC Shuffle, so there's more than 2 items in desert.
Oh, right. Yeah, maps and compasses are shuffled. So right, every item or every dungeon in this case is gonna have 2 more than normal.
Oh, and they do have the Titan's Myths, so King's Tomb is available as well.
Yeah, right. So they found a glove at Ice Rock Cave, and then the other glove was in the back of Sahashi's closet.
Okay, so for James, it's active desert unknown boss fun time.
Yeah, so this is gonna be pretty interesting. And I don't know, would you so Shady, like if you were in James's position and maybe soon to be Matt's position, like would you venture here to the back of desert to see if you can kill the boss? So Matt's definitely not, because he just quit.
I definitely would. I think because the knowledge might be good even if you can't beat the boss, and because it just might be the progression. It also might be an easy boss. It might be Moth.
Yeah, it could be Moth. It could be blind. We do have Samaria that is well. More importantly, we also have a sword. So, but all right, we're gonna basically find out right now what on James' side what the Desert Palace boss is gonna be. Meanwhile, though, Matt's beelining over to Bonk Rock's King's Tomb or King's Tomb Bonk Rocks. He finds a mirror. And hey, we are going to be able to potentially claim our first dungeon prize of the game on James' side.
This is not the easiest blind fight ever. There's no script here.
Yeah, that's true. We are gonna have to start from the bottom.
And it's green mail. Oh, I'm scared.
James,
I'm scared.
No, oh my god. What does he have in his bottles? Does he have a fairy? I'm hoping he does. Oh my gosh, dude.
One more hit.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, how did that miss?
No!
How did that last shot miss?
Oh my gosh, that was
so
close.
Unlucky.
Oh,
that's not fair. That's so unlucky. I guess he goes back in.
Yeah, I guess he has some confidence in order to, I guess, like, be able to kill this boss.
In a way, you're kind of pot committed because this still could be the progression. Matt hasn't found anything, right?
He found the mirror in King's Tomb.
And something.
That I believe also it is a form of playable modes, according to certain ghosts as well. In addition to the boots. But I think the heart there was a heart piece in King's Tomb, or sorry, in Bonk Rock, so just the mirror basically of notes.
So that will unlock Para. And it will also. No, we don't have a flute yet, so it doesn't unlock anything in the Mire area.
Oh yeah, yeah. Rolkan also excellent tracker, pointing out reminding us that there was also an ice rod on Spectic Rocks. So we don't know necessarily if we need it quite yet. So in terms of boss shuffle, it is a full boss shuffle, which means that all seven, all of every single boss is going to appear at once, and then 3 of them are going to be duplicated. Matt just checked the tablet. That is a bow on the tablet, so we're going to be able to get that bow once we find a Master Sword.
Okay, James. Okay, the refight's always free. That was a really good refight second time around.
Yeah.
I think he braced himself, and he was like, took a deep breath, and then he went in, and then he destroyed that blind. And he earns himself some blue mail, which will help later on.
Yeah.
But
so that was
for him, it's not progression though, so he's still looking.
Yeah. But it's certainly going to be a pretty good amount of safety and defense, you know, especially at this point in the game, which you basically have like, you know, a good number of dungeons ahead of you. You're never going to turn down blue mail. Of course, we saw in this case where the mirror was, so a little bit of extra defense is going to be pretty nice for him.
Wait, did James really do Desert before Agina?
Oh, you're right.
People have been doing that a lot in this tournament.
Yes, that's actually a good point. Meanwhile, Matt actually, you know, here in the Tower of Terror, I did see him do a quick map check to figure out what the boss is. I believe it was Cold Stare up top, but also more importantly, he has found the remaining piece of Dark World additional access. I believe there was a hammer here in Hera.
Okay, but still no Moon Pearl, but that's really nice to find that hammer.
Oh yeah, especially, you know, when in this case you have, when you eventually get Dark World access with that Moon Pearl, you would really like to have that hammer, because, you know, only having exactly 1 Dark World entry point, and then you have to basically, you know, make a bunch of loops in order to get to, like, South Dark World is, it gets certainly quite old after, you know, the 4th time over.
So now the hammer will unlock East Step Mountain for him. Including some on the Dark World. He can do Super Bunny and the first check in Hookshot Cave as well.
Do you think, in this case, if either Matt or James is brave enough in order to check out the rest of Hookshot Cave without the hookshot, with those boots?
I would say it's if they can hover even occasionally, I think it's worth an attempt. Some people do the attempt it once and then if you fall, just leave. Okay. Which I like.
I think that's.
I like that plan. I like that approach.
Alright, Matt, though, with the lamp in hand, checking out Hera Basement. Nothing of value, just another 20 rupees, but that is going to be his peace of mind.
Yeah, again, without the Moon Pearl, I don't think you can afford to skip things like that. So I completely support doing Hera Basement here. I don't think it's really an option to skip it.
Alright, meanwhile, though, James, just slightly trailing Matt just in terms of time. You know, we just see Matt basically complete out Hera. Not complete out Hera in this case. But just because we got a little bit more access with the hammer, as you just said, we're going to basically explore the rest of both the Light World and Dark World mountains. Yeah,
so James appears a little behind, but James has completed Desert, which Matt's going to have to do later on.
Right, and because in this case we just, I think, confirmed it on James' side as well. We did see the boss at Hera is Cold Stare, and of course, you know, no Fire Rod, no Bombos. Not really sure if we really want to fight Cold Stare anyway, but, you know, it's not going to be a completable dungeon at this moment.
Yeah, it's good to get the knowledge on what the boss is anyway.
Yeah, and, you know, so the fact that the ice rod is just kind of sitting there on Spec Rock, you know, we do know the trinex will appear at least once. It is a question of whether or not it will appear in our path, right? It could be a boss of a pendant dungeon. There's a lot of stuff up here, Shady.
This is a nice cave. This is the place to go.
Yeah, so we ended up getting, a very important small palace compass. We found a hook shot and a moon pearl, but those are just more like, you know, little, you know, trifling details of the scene. We really just care about the compasses here.
Yeah, of course. Now we know where the boss lives.
Exactly.
So with that hook shot, now we can do all 4 in Hookshot Cave without having to do any sneaky covering.
That's true. In this case, I think probably both James and Matt are, you know, pretty happy to see that.
Some people will be relieved, and some people will be less relieved.
Yeah.
The good hoverers will be less relieved.
All right, looks like though James, I think you mentioned earlier, at this point, still missing the Moon Pearl that we of course saw on Matt's side. Is just kind of over there in Paradox Cave, but James at this point doesn't know it, so certainly it's going to be better for him to be a bit more thorough than not in this case.
Yeah, I think what Matt would like to find here, I think, is a sword so he can get that bow before he leaves the mountain.
Oh, right.
The bow's on the ether tablet for anyone joining late.
How about a shield? Is a shield the same thing as a sword?
The shield is very good in 3 very specific locations in the game. Where you have to get a nice satisfying ding when a spear dude throws an arrow at you.
Yeah, so do you think Ether Tablet is one of those very satisfying places?
For a shield? No, Ether Tablet. The shield doesn't do anything at Ether Tablet.
Oh, well, that's somewhat disappointing news. Alright, so Matt has kind of made his way over to Dark Death Mountain. He checked out all of Hookshot Cave. Basically, that is a very valuable fighter shield in 3 very specific instances. I really hope that they actually do come up so we can actually hear some very satisfying shield clinks. But yeah, other than that, Dark Death Mountain looks like actually pretty empty.
Yeah, so I guess they'll be back up later for the bow when they do get a sword.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. In this particular item pool, there are 2 bows. This is not one of those non-progressive bows.
Right.
So there could be another bow somewhere else.
Yeah, but I guess just the fact that both runners have knowledge that a bow is on Ether Tablet, relatively fast if you're maybe still looking for silvers.
I can't imagine them not picking it up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because they know it's there. I think it's very likely to be worth. It'll save you time on the Ganon fight. It'll save you time if any Vitreiuses show up. And it might save you a little bit of time in an Argus fight.
Mm-hmm.
And it might make the gauntlet easier, especially if you don't end up getting half magic. So I expect them to rush it at some point. Nice chest turn by Matt. In the room, in that particular room. Hang on, here's the emote for that.
Yeah, I couldn't even speak anything until I was like, "Oh, where's this emote?" But yes, Matt's trademark.
Not just any old chest turn, but the brewery chest turn. As patented by Matt.
Yeah, not quite the 300 as we do, find that in the vanilla game, but Matt did a very nice job there. Meanwhile, James has found the rest of his goodies up in Paradox Cave, which of course includes the all-important Swamp Palace Compass in addition to his hookshot, and Moon Pearl unfortunately just took a little bit of a tumble trying to do the bomb just to get himself back over.
I missed that. Was that the bomb blowing him up Ancilla thing?
No, he unfortunately just didn't. I think he was trying to line himself up and then just walked off the edge, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, that happens from time to time. I mean, that never happens to me. I don't know what you're on about.
Oh, yes, exactly. It's always a first time that whenever we see something like this, either, as personal experience or, or on restream. Alright, so it looks like James is going to finish up the rest of his, Dark Death Mountain checks. Will probably be filled with a little bit of disappointment. We did find out earlier on Matt's side, that's half magic in Thieves Town. Also, Relkin, Eagle Eye Tracker, found out that this was also Bombos, kept track for it as well. So we most likely are going to. Well, I guess we don't know if necessarily a Turtle Rock is a crystal or not, but that Bombos tablet chances are it's going to be pretty useful.
Yeah, we do know 2 of the pendants already, so there's only 1 more pendant outstanding. So for all these other dungeons, it is likely that they are a crystal.
Oh, right, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so because the maps are shuffled, I think you mentioned this earlier. We're going to have to go find maps, or in this case, talk to some. Unfortunately, be a little bit more social, out in the world. You have to go talk to people. So Hashula has knowledge of our green pendant. The bomb shop guy has knowledge of 5-6 crystals, and Matt is just really. At least this is happening in rando, not NMG, I guess.
I know that would be so frustrating in an NMG run. Yeah, we don't yet have our 5-6 crystal knowledge, so that's something we can have a conversation about.
Oh, yeah. At least it's short. It doesn't have to be a large talk necessarily.
Yeah, yeah. The one NPC you don't want to talk to in this game is the bouncing ball there on top of East Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah,
West Dark Death Mountain.
Mhm,
In front of
yeah.
Hera.
Yeah,
Don't talk to that dude. He'll tell you his life story.
and then some, I think. Yeah,
And then some.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so looks like though James is maybe taking a slightly different route into Dark World. Maybe you're gonna check out Hype Cave. Meanwhile, so Matt, also remembering that it is boss shuffle, remembered going against his muscle memory that you do not have to blow up the attic. In this case, actually, just saving himself just that little bit of time.
Yeah, but Matt didn't remember that the Back of Thieves doesn't exist in Boss Shuffle. And actually, never mind. The flute is there.
What?
Never mind.
Matt is, I believe he was seeded number 6, going into group stages, being in the upper quartile. You know, the fact that he has found a flute here in the back of these, oh my gosh, it bombos.
Yeah, I think Matt's seeded 6 because he's good at pulling the flute and bombos out of the Back of Thieves in an enemy shuffled seed.
Yeah, Matt has made a... Yeah, in this case, I believe Matt is probably going to be pretty happy to see those. Speaking of, Thieves Town and Hera are 5-6 crystals, so we are going to have to need some sort of fire version, fire rod or bombos that Matt just ended up finding.
Oh, clear mouse.
Oh my gosh!
Sorry. We don't have the bow yet.
Matt, why could you not just delay this until
and now
you found the
he's
sword?
just using the ice rod and being efficient and quick instead of a bow.
It's as if he's in a race or something, and he wants to, you know, beat the judges a bit faster.
Look at this guy looking after his own
score
score in the tournament instead of the enjoyment of the commentators.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and the viewers.
And the viewers.
Alright, but you know, though that is the first crystal on the board for Matt. He doesn't necessarily know right now that it is a 5-6 crystal, but it's going to be certainly a really nice prize for him to claim. Meanwhile, though, it looks like James is going to take the south and north approach from Dark World. Unfortunately, not so many great findings so far. Just have to kind of go through the motions to try and maybe try and find a little bit more progression. Certainly, if you are fans of James, or at least, you know, to make this a little bit more interesting, hope that he does go to the back of Thieves Town, because we did find some really, really nice items like that flute and the bombos medallion.
I do slightly prefer what James is doing, even though it hasn't necessarily worked out, because, as I mentioned before, you might find more useful items on the southward Hype Cave before you even go to Thieves Town. Because, let's say a much scarier boss was in the back of Thieves Town, you might find the items which would help you beat that boss a little easier. But it shouldn't make a big difference, because I think they're both going to do the same things, just in the opposite direction.
Yeah. And actually, it looks like James is actually going to take care of maybe a little bit of errands. I don't know if he'll necessarily do the purple chest alongside with this. We do have the mirror. We do have... Well, he doesn't have the flute yet, so maybe this is going to be like just the smith. But certainly going to be taking care of a couple of travel desires in this case. Oh,
there's a master sword.
That's a master sword.
Stop everything.
Okay.
Stop everything, right? You mirror at this very spot.
Now.
He can't just flute away. Okay, you save and quit at this very spot, and you go and get that bow, and you bring it to Thieves Town.
Yes,
James,
please.
Don't let us down.
Yes, you know, Matt has already failed us. Please, you know, redeem this entire stream and restream, and you will be vastly rewarded.
I guess I'll allow you to turn the smith in first.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Alright, looks like though, maybe we're not gonna grab the purple chest quite yet, I guess. So, okay, so I guess, like, if you were in James' position right now, you're probably gonna clear out the rest of the Village of Outcasts, probably take a peek into Thieves Town, you know, and then, you know, we just see on Matt's side that it is Lamolus at the boss, so James is going to be able to complete it. I guess after this, would you go back into Purple Chest? Would you go north and continue on to like Graveyard Ledge and like Skull Woods?
In James's position, I would definitely go north. Purple Chest is kind of a long. It's a slow thing to do on its own. Whereas there's several checks in the front of Skullwoods that he can do. So I think I would prefer that direction, and that's kind of what I expect James to do as well.
Okay.
If it's different from Matt, because he's going from north to south, so it makes it a little bit more sense for him to bring the purple chest down this way.
Right. Yeah. All right. So I guess yeah. So this potentially might be a little bit of a difference, just because we just see, as you just mentioned, right? So Matt's approach from Dark World was north to south. James was basically entirely opposite, which was south to north. And this purple chest actually might be a bit of a difference here.
Yeah. So here's the thing: we found the flute and the bombos in the back of Thieves, but either of these items might be required. They might be bait.
You are certainly correct. Yeah, right. So, like, we are looking certainly for, you know, a hookshot fire rod, and we don't necessarily know if Turtle Rock is a pendant or crystal yet. So we could actually, in fact, not necessarily need bombos. The flute, we do see that Meyer is our green pendant, so we may not even have to even go over to that area. So you are certainly correct. At least
it's likely to need bombos, to be honest, but it's not 100% guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, certainly
I'd still rather have the items though.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, this. You know, you're not really gonna turn down extra mobility at this moment.
Yeah. Also, if you're a believer in the rule of fire, it's 100% required bombos with fire rod. It's not even an option. It's like 100% required.
Oh, we're gonna do actually a quick little map check and see if it was. I think we knew everything, didn't we? I don't know. Oh, I guess Matt did find out that Desert Palace is actually another crystal. We knew that on James' side, because James ended up killing the boss. Matt has not actually gone back over there. But in this case, he did end up seeing that Desert's a crystal. Oh, yeah, and he didn't talk to the bomb guy yet, so he saw that Kara was a 5/6.
Yeah, I don't blame them for checking the map relatively early, because they're both trying to just get that final pendant information.
Yeah, so at least for that map check, I don't think we ended up seeing any new information, just because from combined knowledge between Matt and James, I think we had full like world knowledge. Alright, Matt's trying to get some more patented chest turns in.
2 out of 4. The last one doesn't count because he failed
Yeah.
the first time, so that's a 2 out of 4. It's okay. He got the important one anyway. That's
right.
Forgive him for everything else.
Yep. We did end up picking up a fire shield, so that's going to be just a little bit more defense for any future bosses that might have some more fireballs. I'm sure James would have loved that when he was in Desert to begin with. Didn't have to necessarily maybe take that early death, but you know, if we do see a blind again, James is all ready and set to go.
Yeah, we do see James in the back here. He's going to get his flute and bombos, which is really good for him, and it's really good for the race. And we see Matt is going to get his bow, which we kind of expected the runners to rush there relatively quickly once they get the sword. And with the bow, I guess we can go to Pod and Eastern.
Yeah, we're gonna do another map check just to make sure that in this case confirmation. Maybe Matt didn't quite catch it the first time. Oh, but with the Bombos Battalion, this is actually good thinking as well. Completely forgot, actually, that Coldstair is the one up here. With that Bombos Battalion, we are going to be able to claim that crystal.
Oh, that's true, yeah. And a Master Sword as well, so much better than the Fighter Sword they had the last time they were in.
Did you see the Herapot on Matt's side? That was
pretty slick, yeah, it's pretty good, pretty good. Now, if you do it that way, that's when the hook speed one is faster than the other Herapot. Most of the time, it's not faster, but
I was gonna say,
if you do it that well, that's when it's faster.
Speaking of, using some more magical weapons here, James is on his Ice Rod and Lamola's fight as well. Going to hopefully be able to take him down just a little bit faster. Nice.
Ice Rod, I don't like the Ice Rod for Lamo. I find the Fire Rod so much better. It's really hard to judge the projectiles with it. But interestingly enough, for the Argus quick kill, I think the Ice Rod is even easier than the Fire Rod. So it's kind of funny that they're the opposite.
It is, that is. Alright, Matt? Oh.
Whoa.
Alright, so
just don't get knocked off or die, no!
he did catch a fairy when he was doing,
okay.
you know, when he did Haripod up in that incredibly fast way up the tower. We did end up seeing him pick up not only the bug net earlier, so taking quite a good use in this case. And of course, yeah, the arena is a little bit smaller, right? I think, and also you have that giant hole that you really don't want to fall into. So certainly it's going to be quite the difficult fight.
But that just reminded me of something really funny that could have happened, but it didn't. So
What's that?
he could have got knocked into, like, say, the middle hole, but then he could have got 1.0'd
Oh
and
no!
hit on the way down, and then he would have, like, fairy revived, and I think he would have been able to walk back on the platform.
Oh, dude! Alright. Okay, Matt, you denied us a Bo Lamos in Thieves Town. I demand you do that next time you play MC Ball Shuffle. Alright, so James, though, activating his flute, he made a very excellent decision. Just like Matt did earlier, went to the back of Thieves Town, picked up his flute, and Bombo looks like he is actually, you know, thinking something pretty similar in Matt's position, or similar to what Matt had done as well. Go straight up the mountain here, get his bow, and then, you know, with that Master Sword and Bombos. Looks like hopefully he's going to also be able to clear out Tower Para.
It'll be interesting if the runners are tracking which compasses they have collected, because the choice between Pod and, for example, Ice Palace is quite interesting here. They're both available and potentially fully clearable, but you probably want to go to the one where you can quickly check what the boss is. Now, I don't think they've found the Pod compass. I guess we'll find out in a second, but I think they have found the Ice Palace compass. I don't know if is our tracker check. No, the trackers don't have that information. I guess we haven't seen a map check though from Matt.
Yeah, and usually I think when he entered like Tower Para, he did a matchup pretty quickly. So presumably then that means, yeah, we don't have in this case the pod compass. I would also like to point out that James also did an alternate setup of Haripod, also got up there very quickly and sent him with some bombs. And good luck, James. You know, Matt certainly did not really have, you know, I mean, certainly, you know, made it through the fight, I'd say pretty handily, but it's definitely not going to be easy.
Yeah, one thing that makes this fight a little bit trickier than normal is the non-squareness of the arena. So the way they bounce off the walls can be a bit unpredictable. I'm a little scared.
Yeah, so, well, at least this is noteworthy, you know, so because James had also defeated, defeated Blind in Desert Palace to claim his prize, he does have mail over Matt, because he, you know, that was the prize from Blind. So he is on a little bit higher defense at this point.
Yeah, it looks like he's on the red mail, yeah. So that does help a lot.
Oh wow, that was really nicely done on James' side. Holy cow, very well earned
as well. Quite brave, but yeah, no, he did well.
No, I mean this is a reason why, you know, we have top 128. You know, it may sound like a very big number of people. It's really competitive.
There was like 500 people or something that did a qualifier, at least one, or maybe 300. I don't know. Lots of people did qualifiers.
Yeah, it was like 300, and so like yeah, top 128 is like what, I don't know, top third. I mean, like, and how big and large the community has grown, the skill ceiling. I mean, there's not even a ceiling. I mean, like the people just get better and better every year. It's this is kind of a testament, basically, to see, you know, just how good people are here.
Oh, so I haven't been looking at Pod. Did we really get 6 keys in the front of Pod?
Oh, did we really? So we're so fixated on basically James's really excellent cold steer fight that we have just basically not paid any attention on Matt's side. All right, well, okay, so, you know, good thing, you know, this is why we have, you know, chat and our awesome tracker broken. Matt is finally looking like he's picking up some items, so we just find Ether. Haven't been over to the Mire area yet, so we don't actually quite know what is over there, or what, you know, a medallion we necessarily need for entry, but having another medallion is always going to be nice to have. Okay, hello, mushroom. Good thing we have a flute.
Yeah, there's quite a lot available to us right now. What do we even need? I guess we just need the flippers.
We need the flippers. So I think right now we still don't have full crystal pendant knowledge. So
Yeah.
maybe
We
we
will need the
don't.
fire rod.
Yeah. Right. We
But
did
it
find
could
out.
be that we only need the fire rod, if I'm looking
Yes.
at this correctly. But that would require swamp to be a pendant.
Yeah. Right. And right now we certainly don't. Right. So I think logically speaking, we need the flippers. But I think you just said like if swamp is a pendant and we don't need anything else inside, we have confirmed that we do not have the compass on that side. But yeah, so because like we know that one of Ice Palace and Swamp Palace is going to be a crystal, we don't of course need, pragmatically speaking, flippers in order to get into Ice Palace. We just fake flipper, but logically we are going to need them.
Yeah, Matt could also relatively quickly get back to the desert boss as well, which I kind of expect him to do fairly soon. I don't know if he's waiting for. I guess he wants to find that fire rod before going there, just in case it's a trinex.
Yeah, right. I think that's actually a pretty good point. So trinex is a boss that can actually appear at desert, at least like the Desert Palace Arena. And so, yeah, and given that we didn't have a compass yet, or we probably still may not have a compass, maybe he doesn't want to invest that time quite yet. Matt, I think, is showing off a little bit of his energy muscle memory here. He's got Master Sword and Sword Beams. Given that he has been kind of on like the 124 trek, looks like it's actually pretty good back of pod here so far.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to a nice NMG quality Helmasaur fight here.
I mean,
Vanilla Helmasaur. I don't know what's coming up. Might be an Argus.
You're right. We don't have a compass. Matt is just gonna take his chances and hope that this is gonna be something that we can defeat. And I cannot believe you, Matt. What the heck?
Matt, you got the bow now.
Oh my gosh.
Matt,
okay.
How could you?
Okay. Can we shut off Matt's screen at this point?
Yeah. Okay. let's just watch James. James won't let us down. He'll crack out the bow.
We do have, looks like actually our final crystal pendant knowledge. Pod is our last pendant.
Okay, so that does confirm that we need both the fire rod and the flippers. We also know now that we won't get any more landmills.
That was... It's like pouring salt into the... I mean, we know that for a fact because it is full boss shuffle, right? Every boss appears at least once, with 3 of them being duplicates, but there can only be 2 instances, at most 2 instances of one boss. And the fact that we already saw Lamos in Thieves Town, and we just saw it on that side here, and Palace of Darkness means we're not going to have more opportunities for Lamos today.
I don't think you can really. I don't think you should. People in chat are asking whether James might skip the pod boss here. I don't think you should be coming to pod unless you're prepared to beat the dungeon, in case it is a crystal. Because most of the bosses you could find are beatable. So I think if you're gonna bail, then you should be elsewhere.
Yeah, and given that it looks like
okay, there's the fire rod.
Oh, whoa, that is fast. Wait, so are we on Flippers Go mode at this point?
Flippers are Go mode, so we know it's Go mode Ice Palace, which is nice. We know it'll be Go mode Swamp. And Matt is now capable of reading all bosses, so he doesn't have to do any more map checks, which is nice.
Yeah, no, this is actually quite the discovery play here on Matt's side. And as you just said, right, so with that fire rod, we can take down any boss, right? So we found the ice rod pretty early, so we do encounter a trinex. We have Master, so we have both rods. In those cases, when we're taking down, we do have the hook shot in case we encountered Argus. Other than that, yeah, we basically just need something to get us through the beginning of Swamp Palace.
Matt just does a map check. Okay. Matt, what are you doing? You're going to the boss no matter who it is.
I guess Matt just really wanted to be sure that he can clear this.
I get, yeah, maybe he wants to know whether he can like spam his magic in these kill rooms that are coming up or something. But he is half magic.
Yeah, and it's probably not going to get much faster. I mean, certainly, I think both Matt and James would like to see a tempered sword. They're more than capable of defeating basically the rest of the game just on Master Sword. Tempered sword is just going to basically save them a bit more time, in terms of execution.
Yeah, if they get a trinex on ice though, with just a Master Sword, then
yeah, that's
I'd want to have a
true.
couple of bottles of blue potion.
Yeah, and actually, given the fact that we essentially see, Matt and James having pretty healthy rupee counts, certainly would not be surprised to see either of them kind of stop by the potion shop to, as you just said, pick up basically additional safety. There is no pride here in any form or shape of Randomizer. You would heavily take a living Link versus a dead Link.
Yeah, Matt got to use beams at the start of this blind fight, and now he's combining them with Samaria and Sword Slashes at the end. He's got a million hearts though, so he's never in any danger.
Yeah, quite the contrast actually. Matt being here, as you just said, blue male, 11 hearts, half magic, Master Sword with beams. James was here, Ganon Samaria, 6 hearts, green male. Quite the contrast in terms of fighting.
So James has his knowledge now, and I expect James to get to the Mire area fairly soon. It's another thing like the back of Escape, where once you get the glove, you want to do the back of Escape because it's 3 quick checks. When you have access to the Mire Shed, just go to the Mire Shed and get your couple of quick checks. It's just a good idea, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely, and I think we just kind of saw Matt doing that. Looks like nothing in Checkerboard Caves, which means that we're not going to have to go into the blocks. Is this going to be... Actually, what is this? Is this 5-6? Or Pyramid Fairy?
Does he have both? Oh, he does have both. I guess, yeah, and he can combine it with the Pyramid Check itself.
Oh right, we haven't checked the pyramid yet. I kind of forgot about that minor detail.
Pyramid's such a terrible place to check unless you beat Naga.
Yeah, it is actually quite isolated. I mean, I guess like in the case where it is an Agassi, great. Matt literally just got his shield stolen. I don't know if he's happy about it or not. We still need to go into Swamp Palace, Matt. Please get your shield back.
Okay. If he takes a hit from the Spear Guard dude in front of Swamp Palace, I'm gonna laugh so hard.
You know what? He does have 500 rupees. You think he's gonna go buy his fire shield, from the Curiosity Shop?
That's a much better expenditure than going and getting a couple of potions for sure.
Okay, all right, Matt. Okay, you've disappointed us twice now for using the ice rod on Lamolas. Please go to the Curiosity Shop to redeem yourself in order to buy your fire shield.
Look at the way it matches his face.
I know,
red eyes.
Exactly. Yeah. I was too busy looking on James's side. Then he did get an extra fairy from his trouble from the waterfall for the pyramid fairy, but it looks like actually no real progression in terms of we are still looking for those flippers.
Yeah, so James is going to go get his fire rod now, which is good. And James has already beaten the desert boss, so he probably doesn't have anything else to do in the area once he gets the fire rod. I guess going to the back of Skullwoods is a good play for James. I don't expect him to... Do we catch the Mire Medallion?
James, I just caught on James' side. It was Bombas. I assume Matt saw it at some point, but I did not personally witness it.
Yeah, I don't expect either runner to be interested in Mire, though, not right away anyway, because it's just independent, even though it's probably going to have our flippers.
You're not wrong. We do also still have the remaining checks also in Eastern Palace, which is another pendant. That is, I guess, also on the table. I think we also haven't seen Catfish yet. We haven't seen Graveyard Ledge. I am trying to remember if either one, maybe Matt is the best person so far to potentially check Bumper Ledge. We don't have the cape, so we can't really get that yet, but I don't know if anyone has scouted that.
I don't remember seeing it. Yeah, we just saw a vanilla moth in Skullwood's room, which is kind of boring, really.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer some more interesting boss. Vidi or Argus. Argus is really
Yeah,
difficult in that room.
right, right. I feel somewhat gypped, right? So this is, we have Matt and James here, both very, excellent runners. Outside of that one cold stare up in Hera, we've just got, got Mothula. We have two Landmolas, which both of them may use the Ice Rod on. Like, we need some more excitement here. Where's a Trinex?
Yeah, we did not sign up for boss Randomizer just to see easy bosses and easy rooms. Like this is ridiculous. And to see Lambos killed without a bow.
I know, exactly. We have
We're not
some
gonna let
very
this
top
go.
tier runners.
We're not gonna let this go.
Okay. Not giving the fans. Well, speaking of giving the fans what they want, looks like Matt has decided to at least check the pedestal for us. It is not going to be worthy of our time to collect all the pendants.
I guess the flippers could have been on the pedestal in theory. And
yeah.
there's never a quicker time to check the ped than when you've just beaten Skullwood and you have a mirror out of book.
Oh no!
James, no!
Shady, you cursed him by saying mirror. You can't say mirror when someone has the mirror out.
Oh, how silly of me. I'm sorry, James, okay?
Yes. I know that, the mirror does make things playable, but sometimes in dungeons it doesn't... it's playing too fast, in this case. Alright, so at least though, James, it was a very minor, quick swap mishap. He has at least got his peace of mind back from getting the item in Pinball Room. Voice Mask I'm gonna pick up here pretty shortly.
Yeah, he's even got punished by getting the wrong boomerang as well. He already has the good boomerang, he doesn't need it.
Yeah.
That's the Hondo boomerang. We much prefer the NMG boomerang. And by we I mean I don't know, I can't speak for you, but I prefer the NMG boomerang to the Hondo boomerang.
I do like the sparklies, but I think in terms of speed, probably the blue one is a little bit nicer in terms of it doesn't lag as much.
All I know is every time I try and stun an enemy with the red boomerang, I mess up the timing. It moves too fast. It doesn't stun the enemy, and I take a hit.
Aww.
So I just hate the red boomerang for that reason more than anything.
I see. I was gonna say, speaking of taking hits, though, Matt tried to make his way through the Waffle House screen. Unfortunately, just got dead rocked. Those guys are pesky.
Yeah, Matt, no Waffle House. Is that emote available?
It is not, I think, quite yet, unfortunately.
No. Maybe he's still working on that one.
Alright, meanwhile though, James, he's making his way back to the Skullwoods. We did see on Matt's side, it is going to be a relatively tame and straightforward, well, I guess somewhat unexpected and shuffle Randomizer bosses. That is going to be Mothula. But hopefully, with this loadout, he is going to be, just fine, because he can take it down.
Yeah, he needs to lose these beams.
Oh right, yeah. Beams.
Help him out a little bit.
Right, one of the few bosses. Oh, well, there goes the beams. Maybe it was intentional or not. Yeah, Mothula is one of the few bosses where it actually does take fighter sword damage. So beams are not what you want for this fight.
Unless you have like, one heart and it's one hit KO and you just want to stay as far away from it as possible, but you for some reason have beam. Well, okay, not one heart, but like 3 hearts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because you somehow have beams. Yeah, then they can be okay.
Alright, so speaking of though, so both of our runners just making very, steady progress basically towards their crystal goals. I think that was, looks like crystal number 4, 6-4 for James, gonna check the ped. And Matt's just basically, very slightly ahead of him, basically going up the mountain. Still looking basically right now for those flippers.
Yeah, Turtle Rock is the place to be. We know it can't be an ice palace, and we can't get into the swamp, and this is the only other clearable crystal.
Yeah, and certainly, you see basically James, kind of following in, Matt's train of thought, just also coming up here in the mountain. Turtle Rock is 7 items with the maps and comes to shuffles in the wild, so very item-dense location. And of course, this is a crystal, we are going to be able to defeat every boss, so certainly very reasonable to come here. We're of course going to hope that the flippers are in one of these checks. Otherwise, we're going to have to start making a little bit more of some difficult decisions.
Yeah, no. We probably have some random overworld spots left. Graveyard Ledge is probably one of them. I don't think. Did James go to Catfish after the pyramid?
I
I don't
don't
think
think
so.
so. Yeah, I think he just mirrored and then fluted away. We also do have Spike Cave. Well, okay, we have Spike Cave available. I don't believe we actually have, like, the logical items. We need some sort of invincibility item, and it looks like actually we don't have either one. But it is something technically available.
Yeah, it's probably not something you want to rush because at this stage it's probably about 50-50 that the invincibility items are in GT versus in somewhere else in the world. They have to exist somewhere outside of GT, at least one of them, before Spike
Right.
Cave could possibly have our flippers. And also, the invincibility item has to not be an ice or swamp. So actually, it's very unlikely Spike Cave is the place to go, even if you could sequence break it.
Okay. All right. So this is a really good analysis here, Shady. Well, you know what?
Yeah, watch how good the analysis is when they just pull Burna off Laser
We
Bridge and then it's just Spike Cave.
Matt just needed to delay that just a little bit longer to find the cape here in the middle of Big Key Chest.
Oh,
You know, and
okay,
of
yeah,
course,
yeah. Thanks, Matt.
yeah,
Thanks for that. Good timing.
good, yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, though, the cape is also a really nice safety item. Especially if we're kind of only on the remaining, the rest of the game just on Master Sword, the cape's gonna be really nice to be able to use on Ganon.
Yeah, there's certain positions Ganon can go to, the two center positions at the top of the room, where you can use the cape to get double spins, and you wouldn't be able to get double spins any other way. So it can strictly speed up Ganon in certain positions as well as just make it safer.
I also see that Matt checks the Turtle Rock Big Chest before checking Mimic Cave. I wholeheartedly like the fact he got Bobs out of the Big Chest.
I'm disgusted. I'm like,
I am a big proponent of Mimic Cave before. Matt, where is the redemption here? Ice Rod Lambos twice. We didn't go to the Curiosity Shop when you lost your fire shield. We're waiting here.
but he did hammer dash out of Mimic
That is
Cave,
true.
so
That was pretty
he
slick.
gets some points back. It's not complete redemption, but there's some mitigation there.
I would say though, meanwhile, that James is also just making his way. He did a really good, nice job with Chomp's room. Making his way through Turtle Rock. He is, very closely following Matt in this case. I wouldn't even consider like either run around even have like much of an advantage. Matt is just a couple basically screens ahead of James at this point, but Master Sword, for the rest of this game, certainly can be quite the execution difference.
Yeah, and I think I would say in a normal mode, this is a big enough advantage where it's very unlikely without GT big key routing types coming into play that someone could make up this execution. But in a boss shuffle situation where you might be dealing with a nice trinex or some more difficult bosses at the top of GT, there's more scope for execution differences. There's more scope for mistakes. So that makes the gap. The gap is still the same size, but there's more variability. Oh, the tempered sword helps a lot.
There is a tempered sword, yeah. Everyone's going to be pretty happy to see this. Oh my gosh!
There's
well,
the flippers.
Yeah.
Don't even check the bottom chest. Get going.
That is so Shady. Would you have checked that chest for silvers? I guess. Do you think it would have been worth it?
Would I have checked that chest for silvers? Maybe. It depends. Okay. The reason not to is because he has 5.5 hearts, and it's the annoying chest, right? It's the one where the hard hat beetle is guarding it. So you have to deal with the beetle. You might take a laser to the face, and then maybe it'll make you put this boss in jeopardy.
If the silvers are in that last chest, Matt, I mean, he's certainly doing quite nicely with the cape and dashing here, but silvers also would have made this fight pretty straightforward.
Yeah, with the cape and half magic, the fight's pretty straightforward anyway. It's mostly the time save from Ganon, I think, is what the silvers would benefit James. I guess if there's another Vitreous at the top of GT, maybe it'll help there.
Yeah, well, I was also thinking, so because it is the very last chest in Laser Bridge, I would certainly hope, at least, for a Matt's perspective, he probably is kind of, very intimately acquainted with that chest, just because it is have the small key that you need in order to go fight Trinex. But looks like though he is basically not interested whatsoever. I'm curious to see in this case what James will also decide to do once he is on Laser Bridge.
Yeah, I think either decision is fine. I can see why Matt left it, and I think I might leave it as well, and just trust myself with the Tempered Sword, just because I don't want to have to deal with the beetle and the potential laser in the fourth.
Yeah, and I was gonna say,
yeah.
oh man, that mob, man, it's like there's like collusion here or something. There wasn't even.
Did he not get hit?
No, the mob that wasn't even facing him.
What?
Like,
This is ridiculous. This is an outrage. That moblin, like, we need to dock his pay. He had a job. He had an important job.
Yeah,
we had hired him for.
Didn't even do it.
And he just was sleeping on the job.
I was also gonna say, without the fire shield, in this case, maybe Matt just wasn't comfortable enough, basically trying to dodge these lasers here on Laser Bridge. James is also doing a pretty nice job though. These, basically timing to do boostless laser skips. Looks like though he is at least going to check out what is in this very last chest. It is just 5 rupees, the chest of disappointment.
Yeah, you could see how the jelly, because like unlike in NMG, the jelly had moved quite far because you had to check the first 3 chests. So it is a bit more annoying, and he did take a laser, but James has red mails. I guess they both have red mail at this stage.
Alright, so James, I think he also did a quick map check before, so he knew that Vitreous was coming here in the Turtle Rock Arena. Looks like he's gonna take a slightly different approach than Matt did. He's just gonna try and like do some sword spins. Can't really necessarily do, I would say, like the textbook, NMG fight. There is actually, no slime that you can kind of damage boost yourself off of. So opting to not kind of dash back and forth with the cape. Just gonna try and get a bunch of slashes, kind of using like the top of the screen to his advantage.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick fight, even though he didn't use the bow for the last phase. The bow would probably be a little quicker, but he had done quite a lot of damage to the big eye from slashing. Like when it emerges from the slime, you can still get some slash or spin damage on it, even when there's small eyes still alive.
Right.
So it was probably only on half health. Saving those arrows for later on.
Yeah, and there is of course always the option of like quick swapping over to the bow to try to save yourself that menu time. At this stage, I think maybe James is more than happy to just keep slashing, and not have to risk any more quick swap mishaps.
Ooh, here's Cold Star number 2. Okay, do you know what, Clear Mouse? I'm worried.
What are you worried about, Shady?
I'm worried that we're just going to get a boring Ice Armos.
Oh, you're right.
I feel great disappointment coming up.
Yeah, okay, so we've seen 2 Cold Stares, right? We've seen 2 Landmolas, we've seen a Mothula. We saw a Vitreous. Like I just feel like we haven't really even seen any real notable bosses here.
Yeah.
Where is our Trinex?
Like, we've had some Vitreiuses, but they've got cape and half magic and loads of health and tempered sword. Like, where's the fun in that? I do feel let down. Yeah, Ice Palace. Ice Palace won't let us.
That's right. Ice Palace will be the redeeming dungeon for us here. It can actually hold a Trinex in this case. So hopefully, Matt will be able to get down there. We also just see basically how fast a Gold Melt Swamp is. I don't think Matt stopped for anything. Honestly, I didn't even check Waterfall Fairy. Did Diver down to get back here. I would certainly expect James to do something similar. I don't know if he is interested in checking any, on the way quote-unquote chests, like Waterfall chests in this case, to see if he can find silvers. But I certainly expect this to be a very fast completion of this dungeon.
Yeah, I think bow runners are basically going to open the chest on the way and just ignore everything else.
Alright, Alright, so speaking of, in addition to, looks like the Matt is going to, looks like he's gonna hit the switch, and then presumably he's going to use the Cane of Samaria to also get through Ice Palace a little bit faster, you know. I think the fact that he gets electrocuted by that bar, you know, again, just glad it's rando and not NMG.
Well, he's already passed the place where the beams are most important, like the
True.
first room in ice. He did get sniped on the way into ice, though, which was unfortunate.
That
But
was...
in rando, it's okay because you can use the hook shot, and then you can menu to the bow, quick swap to the bow to grab the key while walking up towards the door. Like, it's so much better in rando than in NMG.
Really? Man, this is what I'm talking about. We need rando only strats here.
Yeah,
yeah.
There's definitely good few rando only strats that quick swap has brought in. That you just can't do in NMG because you can't waste the time menuing to other items.
Yeah, menuing is surprisingly expensive. Oh, James looks like he was actually thinking about maybe checking that chest, but you know what? He's already kind of gotten past it, so that's not going to be any of concern. He did pick up powder and in the flooded room, so I think it'd be a very nice safety. You know, but I think at this point you mentioned, right, like, also looking at a tracker, he's got, you know, health and safety up the wazoo. It certainly would not hurt necessarily maybe to powder some anti-fairies at the top of GT, but maybe not strictly necessary at this point.
Yeah, I think the only thing that can really cause these runners problems on this equipment is an ice trinex. Because I think any other boss in any other location on the way, they'll be able to handle with relative ease with the equipment that they have. So I wonder if they're both tempted to not get a potion before GT. It's risky in a boss shuffle, but with this, they do have a lot of nice equipment, so they might feel like they can't afford the time. Yeah, I enjoy how pink the helmet is in this room. Quite good.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, yeah, and of course, you know, being on this much health and, you know, damage output, it looks like helmet actually really didn't give Matt too much trouble. That is his 7th crystal. James is not too far behind, just gonna dive into Ice Palace, and of course, you know, we did see basically how quickly, you know, Matt did a really nice job icebreakering, you know, down to basically get to where this case, you know, cold helmet is. I certainly expect James to do something very similar.
James got sniped on the way in as well, by a different Zora as well. You know, those Zoras, we need to dock the pay of that spear dude in front of Swamp.
Exactly.
And up the pay of those Zoras in front of Ice.
Yeah, it's distributing. Matt trying to get through Waffle House, unfortunately doesn't quite get it. But yeah, you know, like, we should, you know, Dead Rocks are, you know, top tier enemies. You know, I think their pay is pretty solid. But yeah, you know, we should actually give some Zoras here a raise instead of and demoting some of the Moblins here.
Dead Rocks are superstars. They're already paid like footballers. You know, they're just
first class.
They're raking
enemies.
it in. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Well, it's better to mess up the first set of blocks than the second set of blocks.
Yeah, that is. Alright, yeah. Getting back into the random muscle memory, you know, certainly not only you really see this in NMG either, but you know, the fact that we do have quick swap available to us is something still rando exclusive.
It probably swings the difference and makes this a little bit faster, or maybe the same as going up in the light world and using the Turtle Rock Warp. Because it used to be that the Turtle Rock Warp was always faster no matter what, but with quick swap and being able to quick swap to the mirror there after hookshotting, it might swing the difference. So we see more and more people do this Super Bunny ascent to get to GT these days.
Okay. It also doesn't have any dead rocks too either, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's also a factor.
Alright, oh yeah, so speaking of, so James ended up finding also Quake in the map chest of Ice Palace, which completes our medallion collection. Meanwhile, though, Matt has already made his way into GT. Feel free to mentally guess or post where you think that GT big key is. Matt looks like he's going his, I would say, more traditional GT route, going all the way to Stalfos Room. Gonna get his, at least, you know, one required key here, or one known key, before going over to Hope Room.
Yeah, this play has even more value in boss shuffle than normal because you really want to do the compass and then go left side all the way to the back because you want to maximize the chance of you avoiding the ice floor boss.
Oh yeah, that is also a very excellent point. Yeah, that's right. Because typically speaking, also getting over to Ice Armos in the non-boss shuffled way is, you certainly really don't want to make that a high priority. But in this particular case, right, we have not seen any trinexes at this point. I'm really hoping that we're gonna find something good in this case. But maybe from a runner or racer's perspective, that's not something that you want to just kind of tackle head on.
I still want to see one of the fun bosses on the ice.
I know. Same here.
We've had nothing this seed. It's been so easy.
I would say Helmasaur. Yeah, Helmasaur at the top of GT would I think would be pretty interesting if that can happen.
That is one of the more difficult ones for sure. I think with that boss, it's a bit weird because sometimes when he moves over the pit, the hammer doesn't actually do any damage to him due to the mask. So you have to kind of wait for him to move off.
Oh,
and I think
right,
throwing bombs at Helma from the side is basically the way to go when you have the Helmasaur on the Molten 2 platform.
I guess maybe that might end up trying to encourage some alternative routing over that GT gap, at the very top of the tower.
Yes, that's true, and not the fun one either. Like
I agree. You can't necessarily you can't use those bombs in order to bounce over.
I'm so sad. I feel discriminated against. Look, this is why the red room is worse. Look, you saw it right here.
Yeah,
you saw it right there.
Yeah, Matt, you see actually here in this case, he's trying to use the red boomerang in order to try and get through, I would say, some of the the rooms that he's more used to having the blue boomerang for.
I've got such a smug face on right now, you can't see it, but hopefully you can hear it.
Right, finally, it's like, okay, I don't have to use the boomerang anymore, I can finally use this hook shot. He is still looking for that GT big key. Meanwhile, though, James has made his way up the mountain. He is, looks like he is opting to take the non-Super Bunny route, and he is just demonstrating to us that, yes, dead rocks are paid well for a reason.
Yeah, I don't really expect James to do anything different in the GT basement. Could make up a little bit of time if he does something different, but I kind of don't expect it. Especially because there was a key in Hope Room as well.
I think was that 4 red rupees in Rando Room? There might have been maybe something else in that first chest, but there were definitely 3 right after one after the other in that room.
It looked like 4 red things.
Yeah, anyway. It was okay. All right.
Oh, just 3. Okay.
I was really hoping he would, there would be, some rupee count that would get Matt over the 1,000 mark, and my wish was granted. And Matt also, demonstrating that we would also like to have some boost to bonk over. In this case, the portal, so he doesn't have to go through the screen transition.
Yeah, in NMG, it's a really good place to use your menu to bombs so that you can kind of try and get on the pixel. But you don't have that in Rando. Oh, yeah. Matt doing a nice aggressive strat to get the chest. Oh yes, we got nice trinex. Let's go. Seed redemption. And Matt has almost no magic left. Does Matt have a potion?
Oh my gosh, dude.
This is significant. Oh, he does have a blue potion. Okay, yeah.
He bought a blue potion. But yeah, I was gonna say, like, even you can kind of see, like, how difficult this fight is, right? Like, he's trying to aim this ice rod and kind of slide himself over, and that timing, though, right? It's quite difficult in order to land any hits on him.
Yeah. I think with the ice head, which looks red even though it's ice, I think the thing to do here is just spam fire rod shots. Don't even try to slash it. Because the slash you get recoiled and it's really hard to get in position.
Mm-hmm.
Just spam the fire rod when you have a lot of magic.
Speaking of,
okay, right, he's dead. Mm-hmm. Does Matt have more health? Because this last phase is also incredibly not free.
That is a good question. I hope he does. Oh
he doesn't get that. Oh, I'm scared. I'm scared.
Matt! Does he have a fairy? Does he have another fairy? No! Oh no!
Okay.
Oh no! Oh my gosh!
Do you do the tile room gamble, or do you go back?
I was actually just gonna ask you this. So we do know in this case that Matt does have the option of doing tile room. Before making basically all the way over to Ice Armless again. I mean, do we even?
I'd probably do tile room. Now he's not gonna have a magic. He's not gonna have a lot of magic now, so
I
this is
am
even
worried.
harder now without his blue goo.
Mm-hmm.
Red Boom sucks, by the way. Just,
we're seeing this
in case you
definitely
didn't see
for
it the
a
first
second
time.
time. Oh my gosh, dude. That is just not having a good day in these two rooms. Hopefully James will have a little bit better luck here with these couple rooms. He does have the blue boomerang, so maybe he doesn't have to go through this ordeal.
Yeah, it's so easy for James. Look at these nice blue boom strats. Just watch this now on the right hand side. Oh, look at how easy that was.
Beautiful.
Oh, look at that, so easy.
It's almost as if people practice these rooms with just the blue boomerang.
Nobody practices with red except those hundo people who love RNG or something. Hundo is a fun category to do with friends. Actually, it is quite chill and fun.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But it's a bit of an RNG grind if you're going for good times.
Yeah, but always more fun with more friends. So then you get people to share the experience with. All right, so Matt actually did he actually made his way back here over to Ice Trinex. You know, thank you. In this case, you know, red mail and half magic. Matt certainly was able to be a little bit more aggressive, and hopefully this fight is going to go a little bit better for him. You know, keep in mind though, you know, that James is going to be facing the exact same situation as Matt here, very, very shortly.
Yeah, I think we've seen elsewhere in the tournament, I can't remember what, but we had a race where runners came here. Matt doesn't have another blue potion. Where did he get that from?
Oh, maybe he bought it? Man, oh, so maybe he was just hoping that he could get through the second phase? You know, and he wouldn't take enough damage to die, but then he ended up getting hurt too many times and didn't have a chance to use that potion. Man, that is heartbreaking.
And maybe putting on the cape now is a good idea.
Matt is not having any of that, you know, so we got through Ice Trinex.
It's done, he's dead. No, he's got it done.
Alright, so yeah, so James is dropping down to taking on ice armors of his own. I'm hoping that James also does have some safety. Please have something. Alright,
yeah, but he's doing a good job so far. He still has a decent amount of health. Oh, he's a fairy. So he's magic limited more than health limited.
Yeah, I'm worried here in this case that he just needs... Oh, does he...
Don't miss!
James, no!
Hit him! No, he's got a fairy. He's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, but does he have magic left? Like, I guess he still needs to kill this head.
But I think the ice head's exploding. Is it? Is it dead?
I thought it was still.
No, it's not. It's still.
Oh, no. Does he have a potion?
No. No. This is so.
Oh my gosh, that is so sad.
That's brutal. And he's leaving.
No. Oh no.
I was saying we had a seed earlier in the tournament, and I think the runners, they had worse equipment than this, and they both got to ice trinex, and they couldn't get past it, and they used up all their potions. They both had to leave and get refills and come back. I think that happened. Yeah, but it's common in enemy and boss shuffle modes. It's actually a really brutal fight.
No. I mean, we've seen this on both sides here, right? You know, unfortunately, and this is one of those situations where you really want those like blue boosts that you see in like festive modes, you know, so you can control the ice physics. Sliding around trying to hit Trinex after you've stunned one of the heads is pretty brutal.
I feel bad now. I wanted an evil boss somewhere in the run, and we had it, and now I feel bad because the runners have died. I just wanted them to have a hard fight, not an unsuccessful one.
Oh no! I mean, this was definitely a quite the challenge, and you know, I guess for what it's worth, Shady, though, we did see Matt pick up the big key actually behind Ice Trinex in this case. Like, I don't know, would you have felt worse if in this case, like the big they did everything and then it's just being in Tile Room?
Yeah, I would have been tempted to do Tile Room instead of going back to Ice. Ice Trinex in Matt's position, but I wouldn't have been happy with. Like, I wouldn't be happy with with the outcome. I'd be so worried it was still back there, and I'm just wasting more time. Yo, I love that you don't have to kill the. That's just kill the pups.
Yeah,
one of the nice little Easter eggy things from the boss shuffle.
Yeah, it's a feature of Randomizer. A boss shuffle in this case is that if a boss has 2 phases, you only have to kill the first phase.
Okay, so we still have a difficult boss coming up on the Moldorm 2 platform, probably, unless it's Moth or something. Then it's not difficult.
Yeah, I guess we're hoping for Helmasaur here. Meanwhile, so James fully stocked up in this case with 3 potions to his name. He is going to, hopefully in this case have a successful Ice Trinex fight and be able to make it without having to run out of magic. I would also say, by the way, kudos to both of James and Matt taking a death. Especially this late in the game, like it can be quite jolting. In terms of just like mental state, and so to be able to just take the death, jump straight back into the game, and just play to the best of your ability is something that is completely underrated. So really kudos to both of these runners. Speaking of, I guess GT really is like the boss gauntlet shady.
Yeah,
Oh
we're
my
getting our funds worth here. Okay, so Matt's doing what I think is the best strategy, which is to safely get over to the right side of the platform and throw bombs from there. This is not Matt's first rodeo.
Yeah, no, so certainly I think, Matt's, rando,
And now just arrows from the side.
Yeah, Matt's rando
the cape
resume.
works too. Yeah,
Oh
the
yeah,
cape's
too.
good.
These are good.
Yeah, this is big brain. Yeah, this is good strats.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so like I'm sure like for both Matt and James's resume, I'm sure if you just name a mode, they probably played it to death. So certainly very experienced. Thank you, GT Compass.
Yo, now they can check what the bosses are.
Yeah, all 3 of them, right?
I actually, now that I don't. Does it do anything in GT? Can someone confirm that? Someone smart.
No.
I mean, tell us. Does it tell you any of the bosses in GT? I feel like it should, but
yeah,
it does nothing in
like,
GT. That's sad.
Yeah, I thought maybe no.
Nah, that's boring.
Meanwhile, okay, so Matt's on Act 2. Hopefully he is, a bit acquainted with this fight, even though it seemingly never gets easy, regardless of how much practice you do. James, though, doing a very excellent job the second time. He has basically, by the way, had very, very good, boss execution. Just unfortunate that he kind of ran out of magic the first time, but really just taking down Ice Trinex the second time around, and with really no issues whatsoever.
Yeah, the refight's always free.
And he is going
James did great, yeah.
Yeah. Handsomely rewarded, by the way, here with the GTB key.
Handsomely rewarded by not having to go to tile rooms.
Yes. Still looking for those silvers, actually. I wonder where they are. We do have like a scrabbled set of overworld locations that we haven't checked. But for the most part, we've checked pretty much all of the game.
Yeah, we've done a lot of checks. I guess Ganon will tell us in a minute.
Alright, okay, so meanwhile, James is starting his set on GT Gauntlets. Meanwhile, Matt has dropped down into Ganon. Hopefully, with red mail and half magic and, a ton of health, with Temper Sword, Matt's gonna be able to knock Ganon out of the park here.
Yeah, just a vanilla Ganon in the Ganon arena today.
Can we get boss shuffle with Ganon?
I wish.
That would be hilarious.
I can see why that's really difficult coding wise. I imagine that's really annoying to code, unlike the other bosses. But it would be really funny if you could just like get Ganon to appear in some Eastern boss or something.
Yeah. Alright, Ganon has told us that the silvers are an ice palace. It certainly does make some amount of sense. It's probably in like iced tea or something like that. I think we just see James check like the map chest, maybe a couple more along the way. But certainly it was not, on anyone's direct path. Yeah, meanwhile though, Matt, knowing how to get, in this case, get the torch glitch, gonna get himself plenty of time to get those really nice triples in, so hopefully Ganon phase 4 is just gonna be taken down.
Yeah, we're just missing one or two little spins here, but we're going to blame the rando rupee lag for that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Matt has 1,000 rupees. James has almost 900. But you know what? Just a little bit of lag just delayed the finish time by a couple of seconds. Guys, get your GGs in chat for matt7898 taking a victory, propelling his record in the group stages to 3-0.
Yeah, big GGs to Matt. Well played. Yeah, really tricky seed there at the end, and he handled it pretty well.
Yeah. For red mail. Alright. Meanwhile, alright, so James has made his way basically up through the gauntlet, taking down, in this case, you know, Desert Argus, in this case. Just the initial puffs, and hopefully, you know, he's gonna have one last surprise for him up at the top of the tower with Helmasaur.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get Matt in here to join us for an interview shortly. Yeah, not that far behind, considering James had to leave GT to get potions in order to just come all the way back. He's not going to finish that far behind at all.
Yeah, I'm wondering at this point, you know, you're climbing the tower, you know, you've kind of already, you know, mentally and physically battled Ice Trinex. You did have Argus, which wasn't, you know, too bad as a second boss. You know, are you trying to figure out like, oh, what if it's, you know, what if it's this boss? What if it's this boss? Are you hoping for Armos up here? Maybe as a runner you are.
Can Armos appear in this platform?
Oh, no, you're right. I think it's too small. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well.
I think, yeah, I think if it's a Vitreous, you're. Oh no.
Oh.
Okay, not just Moldorms can knock you off on this one.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe, you know, from a runner's perspective, after you've, you know, taken a pretty difficult boss, you know, in the ice, you know, arena, you'd really hope for something, you know, a bit easier. Or, but unfortunately, you know, today is just gonna be Helmasaur. James, you know, certainly the second time around, after he, you know, he's doing a very nice job on the right side, trying to stay on the platform. There's a little bit more room to maneuver. Man, this mask though, it's got a lot of recoil. Doing a nice job though.
Well, be careful if he charges you forward. No!
He was doing
yeah,
such. That was so good. Just one more slash needed. Oh, that is unfortunate.
And he gets his mask back as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. He, you know, the
Oh no! Don't stand there! Don't do it! Don't do it! Get. Oh, he's only 2 bombs now. That's the problem.
That's right. You know, you mentioned, you know, the upgrade fairy, I think very early on in the race, right, Shady? You know, this is actually one of those situations where coming up here with like 15 bombs wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea. Oh no,
yeah,
man. That is such a bad place to be.
Like standing in front of him there, he can just charge you forward, and there's really not a whole lot you can do to stop him pushing you off. Maybe hammering from the side is the thing to do.
Well, I don't know how the hammer hitbox would work. Like, can you actually hit him with a hammer from the side?
I don't know. Maybe. Oh yeah, I think he might be throwing in the towel. He might have seen the race room and knows that the race is over.
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. Yeah, get your G's on chat for JamesFnX. You know, basically, this was for basically playing out, you know, this entire seed. He did a phenomenal job, basically making it this far. This was a very, very exciting race. Very difficult seed, in my opinion. So kudos to both of these guys. Let's see if we can get a slight chat with them. We are joined here by both Matt and James. GG's, guys.
GG's.
Yeah,
GG's.
what a seed, huh?
Yeah. Well, it was a seed, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was up until GT. I think I played as best as I could. I mean, I died on blind in desert, but that's a really quick death. It's just Ice Trinex, and I had in the back of my mind I was going to buy potions and just never did, and it really bit me in the butt.
Yeah, I mean, like I guess for what it's worth, like the boss shuffles, and yeah, everywhere before GT. You know, I think Shady or so minus I think the Hera one, because I think there was Coulter up there, right? And we were just like, man, these bosses are pretty tame. I was very saddened to see Lambos appearing so early in the dungeons without, and you guys, did a good job taking them down with the ice rod, but I was really hoping for an alternative weapon of choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when there was a second chance as well at the Lamo.
That's true, but that second chance it would be hard to do with the bow. You kind of gotta use the ice rod in that room. Yeah, it was like the Moon Pearl. Like, can we talk about the Moon Pearl? So the thing about this
twice
seed,
now.
this is the better of the two Moon Pearls in our seas. Like that absurd chain. I don't know, James. Did you do Zora before going up the mountain?
Oh yes, I did.
Yeah, so did I. And so it was like, oh yeah, I can go lamp off Zora, get the shovel off the stupid old man to dig up a book again, except the book was on Ega last time, to get my Moon Pearl, my boots right out of desert. And I saved and quit like an idiot because I forgot I complete the dungeon and then got bailed out by the Moon Pearl being on the mountain. But
Oh, is that why you saved and quit? Because we were actually wondering that, because I think, right, so that was actually pointed at Burgess early on. James, he went to the back, and then but we didn't have a compass, right? So he just basically went to go fight blind, and then you just left after boots.
No, I was like, I got 2 items, I'm out of here. And then I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's not how this works.
It's funny, I made literally the same mistake on commentary, Matt. I was like, oh, he's got 2 items. Oh, there's nothing on the boss. And then people were correcting me, and I was like, oh, wait, no, I'm an idiot. Yeah, it's just an easy thing. Because there's 5 different modes, this can be easy to get them mixed up and be in slightly the wrong mindset with counting the items. So it's a very understandable thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was ready to save and quit when I opened the back chest and then saw it was boots. And I'm like, all right, well, I can beat like 3 or 4 bosses here. It's fine to get a look at, even if I can't beat it. And then I died at blind, and then the game laughed at me and threw 2 armors at me.
Oh, that's true. It was blue mail for you on blind, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Once you
Yeah.
And I will say though, James, like your cold stare fight at the top of Hera was very, very impressive. Like that was an incredible fight.
Yeah, it was like knowing the bow was up there. I wanted to rush back there because I had no information on pod, and at some point I'm gonna want to beat it. I might have to go beat Eastern. Who knows? I know it sucks only going up there for like 2 items, but it also opens up Pyramid Fairy at that point. And I'd rather just get the cold stare fight out of the way now, and it went out pretty well.
I think going up for the bow, just so you have a bow in case an Armos appears, or so you can do pod and Eastern, I think it's, even though it's only 2 items, you know it's a bow, so like I think you always just rush up there. I think it's a very reasonable decision, and you both made it. Yeah,
we gotta just go to pod, then get absolutely nothing, discovery dependent. But then you're like, oh, the pod map's on Helmasaur. So, like, there's no way. No, you don't.
Yeah, there's no if you had skipped pod, I would have like VOD checked. I don't know, maybe.
Yes.
Actually, was it a confirmation? I think I think was it actually a 6 key front for pod?
Yes, 6 key front.
My last seed against Kaede had a 6 key pod front too. It's the second one in a row I've had.
Oh, that's fine. You know what's different though from all the other seeds I think we've seen today? You guys got boosts before like the 2-hour mark, which I think is actually an achievement in itself. So.
Yeah. So the one thing I need to do, because I've been talking a little bit of trash about some of the boss shuffle fights I've seen, is defend what I did on Ice Trinex. If you look at what happened right before that, yeah, here's the copium coming right now. And so like I took a hit from him right before he charged me, and it only did 1 heart. And I was like, we think I know red mail damage tables? Like, what is this? And I was like, oh, he only does 1 heart, so I can just let him charge me, and then if I don't hit him, I'll use my potion. And it's like, boop, 2 hearts. I was like, oh, lesson learned. That's what happened there.
I see.
Listen to this guy defending his winning strategy.
This is me trying to defend my trash talking more than my execution.
Yeah, right. So yeah, so like in terms of I think routing, you guys probably did very similar stuff. Main difference in terms of Dark World was I think Matt, you went from top to bottom. Like he started Thieves Town, Village of Outcasts, and then went south. James, I think he started Hype Cave and then went north.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then like really I think like like the difficult parts, I guess, probably came from when you guys eventually faced Ice Armless. So Matt died the first time, and then James, I think, unfortunately, it looks like you ran out of magic because you couldn't get the last hit in. Or something
Yeah,
like
I was one hit away. I don't know how close we were going into that fight. I think if I pulled off first try, I'm at least in play.
Oh no, it would have been super close at that point.
I think maybe 10, 15 seconds at most behind if you both get that fight, and obviously that can easily be made up with like Helmasaur on the Moldorm 2 platform, which is also a difficult fight.
Yeah. Because I think he died, and then he made his way back over to the arena, like as you were doing your fight, somewhere around there. It would have been super close.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like Matt's an incredible player, and I don't know how I would have not dying on blind is like probably 45 seconds to a minute. But I avoided most of the traps this seed laid out, and like can't avoid pod in this seed, but never touched mire. Got to go mode swamp and ice, and was kind of digging for silvers in those two dungeons, but this was winnable, and then I'll just go back, and I got to break serve against Shiva now to make it out of groups.
Mm-hmm. You guys both played very, very well. I think there's definitely lots of consensus. From our side, from chat side, hopefully also from your personal perspectives as well. I would say that probably the only real hiccup, I guess, like in terms of execution was really just on Ice trinex. But I mean, like that is just a ridiculous fight, right?
Yeah, it's a ridiculous fight, and like I said earlier, I should have just went and bought potions before going to GT, and it would have been a problem. The Helmasaur fight was more frustrating, just because I literally just did that fight like an hour ago before the race started.
Yeah, I've been saying all week, like, just don't give me this mode because I just don't want to fight Ice trinex. And then it happened, and then I died, and then I was like, yeah, well, this is what happens when you're, you don't like prepare.
I guess I have one final question regarding, I guess your GT strategy. So you both unfortunately had to take an exit from Ice trinex. Was there any consideration to doing Tile Room at that point?
No, you can't let Ice trinex win. I don't care what the big key is at that point. It's come on, Kratos.
That's a great answer.
I'm sorry. All right, I withdraw my question.
I mean, there's no consideration for me doing that before going and buying potions, right? Like, there's nothing that can be in Tile Room other than the big key that saves me any time. I've already got half magic, so there's just no point.
I mean, it certainly worked out because the big key actually was back there, like behind Ice trinex. So I'm certainly very glad to see you guys didn't both like waste basically a minute, right, sitting through Tile Room.
Yeah, like if you go back and beat Ice trinex and then the big key's not even there and it is just in Trial Room, like that could be another feels bad.
Does.
This was, by the way, absolute pleasure to watch. In terms of entertainment, it was great. In terms of execution, you guys played, like I said, very, very well throughout. So it was certainly a great time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for the commentary in the stream. And James, GG's dudes, great. 2 great games. This was a fun series.
Thanks, you too.
Any other thoughts, I guess, before we kind of wrap things up here?
Yeah, well, I just want to say GG's to both of you, and I guess maybe we can run through what's coming up next on SpeedGaming.
Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, I actually just want to say again, thank you to Matt and James for again like letting us restream you guys. Again, you guys played super well. This was a really exciting race. I was very very happy to be a part of this. I want to thank our tracker Relkin. He is a master at being able to keep all of these things like basically in check for us. Really helpful. I can't really do restreams without an awesome tracker like this. Shady, thank you so much. This was a ton of fun. Really enjoyed this. Looking forward to doing this again.
Yeah, this was great. I really enjoyed this. This was a great race. You both did absolutely fantastic, and And this was a lot of fun chatting with you, Mouse.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I hope if you guys watch this back, you don't take all our trash talk too seriously. I need take our valid criticisms on board about Lamo and bullfights and the boomerang choices and things like that.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone watching had a good time. And coming up, I think on SpeedGaming 3, immediately after this, is NY Rambler versus Zelgadison. I think that's like starting in like 7 minutes.
No names that I'm sure no one has actually heard of. Yes.
Yeah. Now there's some fellas commentating this, and they're probably not going to be quite as good as us, but they are still okay. Dante, reigning tournament champion, and Will, who won his first race in this particular group, they're both commentating. They're both good friends of ours, so I'm sure that'll be a lot of fun as well. Probably be tuning in and getting some popcorn and watching that race as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. So and then looks like actually one more scheduled race is at 11:10 p.m. is JJo versus Sleepy. We also have Malmo and Mindium on commentary. Same channel, just 3 hours later. So it's going to be a very fun night of rando. I believe the schedule in terms of free stream races hasn't been quite decided yet, but if you actually just look at the schedule, lots of multi-streams, tons of rando going on. You have so much more content. So until then, keep watching Rando and have a great rest of your evening or day.
Take care, everyone. Have a nice day.